Hello, I'm Jacob, and I'm going to talk to you about why today is the right time to switch to Gutenberg. I have a question before I start. Can you see this overlay I have on Zoom? Do you have
No, we can see a black screen with a white font.
Perfectly fine, and you can see everything. I was just worrying if you can see my Zoom overlay over there, but then everything's fine. So we're gonna talk about why today is the right time to switch to Gutenberg. So you probably all know this image. That's how Gutenberg started. It's been off to quite a rocky start, actually. And this is the latest news. WordPress 5.9 is here, and with it comes full-site editing. Yeah, it's implemented into the core. What does that mean for us? Before we answer that question, I quickly want to go over the agenda of my talk today. First of all, I want to talk to you about where we come from, what was the experience before Gutenberg and the block editor arrived. Then, where are we today? What does the Gutenberg block editor offer? How does it look? What sets Gutenberg apart? And last but not least, why now is the right time to switch to Gutenberg. Just to clarify, if I say Gutenberg, I mean the block editor usually. I'm aware of the fact that Gutenberg is actually the name for the project that created the block editor, but for me, they're kind of interchangeable. So excuse me if I'm referring to the Gutenberg editor or Gutenberg, I usually just mean the block editor itself. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Jakob Trost. I'm a developer at Great. We are a small company in Munich, and we are focusing on building professional websites and making building professional websites faster and easier. Therefore, we developed the Great Suite. You've just heard about it a little bit. The Great Suite is an all-in-one solution for professional, dynamic, and complex websites, and it makes that faster and easier. And we've built the Great Suite on Gutenberg, so we are already using Gutenberg on a professional basis. So where do we come from? What was the experience before the block editor arrived? Before the block editor, if you have been sticking around long enough, your site editing experience looked maybe like this or similar to this. So you edited the contents inside the classic editor known as TinyMCE. You modified them, previewed them in another tab, and switched back, added contents. But that interface did not really reflect what was going on in the front end, and you never really had control over every part of the website. Your theme usually did this for you. You only could edit your contents. Of course, there were tools like widgets, the customizers that could help you, but that was actually the solution the core provided to edit the content of your websites. And then page builders arrived. This is a little example from the Elementor website. Page builders came into WordPress to fulfill one need that the core just lacked, and that was to visually build websites. So we had the technology to visually build a website, but the core just didn't provide a solution. The core just didn't do it. So page builders stepped up and provided a solution. But page builders always had problems. They were, of course, always built on top of WordPress. They were never really truly integrated. They were third-party solutions. And with the third-party solution comes their own custom solution, their own custom code, whether or not it's within the WordPress code guidance. And they had their own user interface, their own user experience. If you remember the video of Elementor, it looked not like WordPress, it looked like Elementor. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just another user experience built on top of WordPress. Of course, when you are a third-party plugin, you always have to take care of compatibility. And quite frankly, page builders always have some kind of compatibility issue. If you are a third-party plugin and you want to be compatible with other third-party plugins that maybe offer different solutions or similar solutions, you have to take care of those compatibility issues. You have most of the time some kind of locked-in effect. when you remove your tool, your page builder, whatever, you most probably chances are you are gonna lose some content. Contents look differently. Maybe you lose them at all. If you switch your tool from one to another, one page builder to another, chances are you're gonna start from scratch. And one last thing I would like to point out is performance. As soon as you build more complex and large websites with page builders, you are gonna run into some kind of performance issues, whether it's in the front end with page speeds or it's in the back end. I remember using, for example, Elementor, and sometimes I waited for the interface to load several seconds, and then the browser window just told me, yeah, your browser's not responding anymore. Yeah. So depends on your tool, but there were always some performance issues using page builders. So where are we today with the block editor? As of now, the block editor has made some substantial changes from what we've known and what we've started with. And I want to give you a quick overview of what these changes look like and what the usual experience inside the block editor looks like as of today. So this is what the usual block editing experience looks like today. You can insert contents, drag and drop them around, and edit them in a visual interface. So that's really important. You can build your contents visually, drag them around, type in whatever headline you like, whatever content you like, and intuitively just drag and drop elements around. And everything page builders can do, blocks can do now. It's nothing really that special anymore. And Gutenberg is ready for complex dynamic layouts, as you can see in the back. And one thing I would like to point out is it's all happening in one streamlined UX provided from the core itself. So WordPress itself is providing you this user experience and this user interface, and it's all one single streamlined experience. And of course, if you are the core itself, if you are implemented into the core, there are usually no dependencies or compatibility issues, because you're already kind of dependent on the core because your tool in WordPress. If you're dependent on the core, it doesn't matter if you're dependent on the core settings or the core editor, as is the block editor. And for compatibility, I've just told you, third-party page builders always have some kind of compatibility issues because there are third-party solutions. The other way around, if you are the core solutions, other solutions will have to take care of the fact to be compatible with you, not the other way around. So there usually are no compatibility issues because you are the core itself. So this is what the editing experience as of today looks like in the Gutenberg editor. Now to full-site editing, the latest release of WordPress. What does full-site editing do? Full-site editing now enables you to edit every part of your website. You can now edit, for example, your 404 page or your search page, which usually you really don't have had any access to from the core. So you can, for example, edit your header and include every block imaginable into every part of your website, whether it's your header, it's your footer. You can build custom headers only for one page, a dark header for one page, no footer for this page, whatsoever. You actually have the control about every single part of your website. And with full-site editing comes one system that is called global styles. And as the word global styles already explains a bit, you have global styling such as colors and typography, and you can edit them globally, and they are just referred later on. So if you, for example, in this example here, if you edit a color, your main color, this is changed on every single detail on your website because it's only referring to it. Same with typography. And of course, you can change the settings for every single block inside your website. So all of those features are not necessarily new, but they're standardized now. And that is really important. And that's what I want to talk to you about. It's what sets Gutenberg apart. First of all, about site building, I've just talked to you about that. It's now a standardized solution for website building. There are pretty much no dependency and compatibility issues because you are the core and other tools will have to take care of being compatible with you, kind of, if they want to be used in the block editor. And one thing I would like to point out, one feature that really enhances the whole experience is patterns and reusables. You've probably heard of them. And up to a couple of months ago, it wasn't really clear how crucial for especially patterns are in the WordPress site building experience. Because patterns are pre-built assets from your theme or WordPress usually, but a couple of months ago, the WordPress pattern library launched, and now the community can create patterns and assets you can use and insert into your website and are ready to go. And chances are, if you're creating a section, a blog for your website, that there is a pattern out there that somebody built that perfectly suits your needs, and you just modify it from that on. And we, in our experience, realized how crucial patterns are and how fast your workflow can be using patterns. Of course, there are still pain points, and I would like to talk about some pain points. First of all, there's still changes in features, in the development, and in the user experience. Just to give you an example, if there was a setting on the sidebar on the right, maybe because they improved the user experience and the user interface, now the setting is in the top toolbar. That can cause frustration, of course, because you simply maybe just don't find your setting on first glance. And also in development, sometimes components are changing the way they behave, the way the amount of settings that are included, the properties, the attributes. That sometimes can cause frustration. And that is pretty much the price you pay for living on the edge and developing on the edge. Another thing I would like to point out that, in our opinion, is still kind of a pain point in Gutenberg is responsive web design. It's not really well thought through inside the core editor. There are options. For example, you can stack your columns below each other on different breakpoints. And for example, your navigation list, you can break it and swap it into a burger menu on mobile devices and vice versa. But that's about it. But let me tell you, it's not that hard to solve those problems. We actually solved them ourselves because we saw these last couple of flaws. And we, for example, built a fully customizable bootstrap grid inside the WordPress default columns and rows. And now you can change, for example, every column for every breakpoint. You can adjust the width, the order, the offset, whatever you like. This is possible. It doesn't matter. It is really a flexible system, and we've developed this ourselves until the core comes along and provides those features to you. One last thing I would like to point out for pain points is WooCommerce. WooCommerce is really important when you're looking into WordPress itself. It's, you all know WooCommerce, it's the default shop solution, and it's not that much developed with Gutenberg blocks in mind. There are blocks from WooCommerce, from the core, that lets you preview your latest products and the price of products. But the main parts of WooCommerce, for example, your checkout page, your cart page, those are not actually built inside blocks. You still have to insert a shortcode for that. But they're developing it right now. Automatic actually released a WooCommerce plugin, a WooCommerce beta plugin, where you can edit your cart page, your checkout page in the block editor visually. You can customize every single part of it, change the colors, headlines, the order, whatever. And that is in development right now. And as soon as that is ready to be released, that will be the standard. It will be really, really hard for other third-party tools to compete with what WooCommerce in the core is going to give to you, because this is a visual interface and there are lots of features coming into this blocks version, as you can see in the beta plugin. And that will be hard to compete with for other third-party solutions if you're not compatible, if you're not building on the block editor. So let's talk about what sets Gutenberg apart when it comes to developing with Gutenberg. I probably don't have to tell you, Gutenberg is built on React. You will hear about it in the next talk. But just give you a little wrap up what sets Gutenberg apart in this area. React is built on components, you probably know that, and components with properties and attributes, they can inherit each other, and that really enhances the workflow inside developing for Gutenberg. It's flexible, it's easy to modify, and it's great to build upon. So WordPress development is actually never faster, has never been faster than it is right now. Just to give you an example, the other day, a colleague came to me and told us, yeah, we need a max width setting on this custom block and on this core block. That was really easy to implement. We already had a component for adjusting widths and adjusting heights. So we just modified it to adjust the max height, the max width, and we build it so it can be added on every breakpoint. So you can edit them on desktop and on mobile separately. And we just had to push this component onto a core block, onto the custom block, and every similar block just inherits those settings. It was a really easy process, and it's never been that easy for us to develop in Gutenberg and WordPress. Let's talk a little bit about our own experience with Gutenberg, because quite frankly, we were critical at first. We've always asked us the question, when is the right time to switch to Gutenberg? Then we saw the changes we needed and we made the switch to Gutenberg, and now we don't want to miss it anymore. Actually, we are building websites up to 50% faster now. And our customers start to love it more and more. Our customers are not customers that build websites. They're customers like agencies who build websites for their customers, and they're starting to love and they're loving this interface. This is a great solution. That's what the market tells us. That's what we feel, and that's what our experience is. And actually, we're kind of seeing a switch on the market now. Agencies and customers coming to us and telling us, can you help us build a website on Gutenberg? Can you switch our website to Gutenberg? They're kind of demanding it. And that is a switch we are experiencing right now. One last thing I want to talk about when it comes to what sets Gutenberg apart, and that is page speed. Of course, every tool out there, every page builder, every solution out there will kind of tell you they are really fast. They're the fastest probably. Everybody can say that, and Gutenberg can say that as well. But I want to explain to you why it is so fast, because there's an explanation behind this. And there's one really good idea inside the core of the block editor, and that is the block editor actually writes finished, perfectly clean HTML code. It writes the finished HTML elements and just saves all the attributes and properties that are used to edit those contents later on inside HTML comments. Let me show you how that looks. This is the post content of our default page. And when you zoom in, you can see there's a p tag with classes and contents in it. And it's wrapped in a comment. And this comment holds the properties, the attributes you need to re-edit this asset. And this idea really keeps processing at the absolute minimum, because every static element of your website, and there are lots of it, can already be HTML content and does not need to be processed for the front end. And HTML comments are actually ignored by the front end anyway. So it is finished up, hard-coded, if you want to say like that, HTML content. Of course, there are always dynamic elements on your website. For example, your latest post, they always have to be up to date. They cannot be saved hard-coded, if I refer to that wording, but they are being processed on load, and everything else is already ready to be displayed. And that is the foundation for maximum page speed. So why now? Why now switch to Gutenberg? I talked about this. I actually just said pretty much most of these arguments. Let's just wrap it up. Gutenberg is implemented into the core. It sets the standard from now on. It is ready for huge websites. As you've seen, we've been working with Gutenberg for quite a while now, and is ready for every complex website we had to build in some kind of way. The development process is faster than ever. and it is ready for maximum page speed. And all those processes, all those developments that are happening inside Gutenberg at the time during the last couple of months and years, they will only accelerate because all these features, what you've seen, full site editing, all these block editing experience, everything is out there free to use for every themer out there, for every plugin out there. So there will be lots of people who find great solutions for upcoming trends. So the speed will only accelerate from this point on. So why now? Nobody will be no more native. Nobody will be faster. It's here to stay. It's the foundation of the future. And otherwise, chances are you will probably be left behind. Thank you for your attention.